I want to argue today that attention is the essence of all human action. There is nothing in this world that gets done without being attended to by someone, at least someone. And in fact, we accomplish greater things when they are attended to by many people over time. This is the nature of collaboration. In economics, we call this the division of labor. And the essence of the division of labor is found in the old adage, many hands make light work. It could be extrapolated further across time by saying that many minds actually make light work. So we get smarter, better, and more effective at satisfying wants by working together than we do apart. And this is essentially what an economy is. It's a system for allocating attention in accordance with the desires humans want satisfied. Again, this is pretty obvious if you just reflect on where most people spend their lives paying most attention, which for most of us is work, right? You spend most of your week, most of your month, most of your life engaged in work. And when you go to work, you're essentially trading your attention, solving whatever problem it is you do in your craft and your niche for money. And then that money is used to go out and buy the attention of others later. And what I mean by that specifically is that there is no product or service in the world that does not include the essential ingredient of human attention. The only things that get done are attended to, again. So, another way to look at attention, another critical aspect, is that human attention is always comprised of time and energy. We understand this if we just consider the way we talk about attention. When we, quote unquote, pay attention, it involves us spending our time and energy engaging our perceptual faculties on someone or something. Or when we seek attention, we desire that payment from others, that time and energy from others we want focused on ourselves. And this is why I think many women dress themselves like ripe fruit when they go out at night. They're seeking attention. It's also why many men buy flashy cars, flashy watches, all of these things. They're seeking attention. And the next point I'd like to make about attention is that it's always, and again, these are formative thoughts, so I hope you guys this is getting the juices flowing, maybe you can ask me some questions about it. I think attention is always directed at either desire or satisfaction. Directed by, rather, let me say. It's either directed by desire or by satisfaction. What do I mean by that? Attention moves toward desire. So, desire, for instance, can cause a beautiful woman to get a man's attention as she walks by. Desire can also cause a hot meal to get a hungry person's attention, maybe if they smell it or see it. On the other hand, attention moves away from satisfaction. If a happily married man is sitting there and the beautiful woman walks by, he might not give her quite so much attention, assuming he's actually happily married and therefore satisfied. Similarly, a person with a full belly might not give the hot meal quite so much attention because a full belly is by definition satisfied. So, humans, we are social animals. We live in constant exchange of attention with one another. That's what even this event here is today, right? We gather in one place, you give me your attention, hopefully I give you some value back in return. And this is why, again, we understand this, solitary confinement is one of the most torturous human experiences imaginable, precisely because you are starving of attention. You are starving of all human interaction. And it's also the reason why, if you are popular in high school, or you're popular in college, or maybe you are an actual celebrity, that you can ride high on those waves of attention. It gives you energy, right? It magnifies you in some way. Okay, I promise this is going to get tied back to money and economics. So, to say it again, we all allocate our attention according to desire and satisfaction. And this realization is something I think we can map directly onto economics. So, when I say the word economics, probably the first terms that pop in your mind are supply and demand, as we all learned. But few of you likely realize that supply and demand can equally be called satisfaction and desire. Economic supply is the attention of some people allocated toward the creation of capital, necessary to satisfy the demands of other people. This is the hot meal, right, that can satisfy a hungry belly. That is supply. That is capital. Economic demand, on the other hand, is the intensity of desire which demands satisfaction. This would be the hungry belly that desires the hot meal. That is economic demand, or that is desire itself. So in other words, we could say, to get a little more economic in our vernacular, producers create supply that satisfies demand, and consumers demand supplies of capital that can satisfy their desires. This is the market. This is the market process. Trading attention to satisfy our desires. That's what we're doing. And the interplay of satisfaction and desire is the market process. It's the same thing. And again, Economics 101, supply meets demand. What do we find? The price. At the nexus of supply, or satisfaction, and demand, or desire, we discover the price. The price is a communication signal that commands perhaps more attention than anything else in the world. It coordinates and dictates the movements of the entire market process that we're all always engaged in. Now, a price is not necessarily the dollar price. That's what we always think in, but we have to get a layer deeper. Prices are ratios of exchange between any two assets. The numerator, the top number, and the denominator, the bottom number. Now, the numerator, which is the top number, is what you're evaluating. The denominator, the bottom number, is your chosen frame of reference. You can price anything and anything. Price is completely arbitrary. You might ask, how many apples does an orange cost? Or how many tables does a chair cost? You could say this about any combination of assets. But pricing in that way is a real pain in the ass, obviously. So what do? We abstract all of these prices into money. Money makes pricing less painful. And by denominating prices in money, money being just the most liquid, tradable asset in an economy, all of those exchange ratios, that infinite complexity, is compressed down to a single number, a single common denominator or a common frame of reference that we call money, the money expressed price. So by using money, we can all effectively speak a common language of economic numeracy, such that we can all allocate our attention more effectively. We don't need to spend our attention digging through all of these exchange ratios. We can just focus on the price and base our actions on it. So in other words, the money expressed price is the focal point for the allocation of attention across civilization, across the world economy. Prices are telling producers what to produce and consumers how much to consume versus save. It is the communication mechanism. And this is why money and attention go hand in hand. Money is used to allocate attention via the price in this way. And since we look at most of the world through money, it is one of our most fundamental frames of reference or denominators. Just stop and consider how many times you think in dollars every day. If you actually observe yourself doing this, I think you'll be quite blown away. So a pricing system which is denominated in money is the way we allocate our attention toward the desires that most ardently seek satisfaction. Like Svetsky was just talking about, right? When you vote with buying, when you buy something, you're signaling to the economy to make more of it. When you sell it, you're signaling to the economy to make less of it. And as Bitcoin has shown the world, price and attention are very closely connected. Where high prices go, attention flows. And in this sense, I think I have found another answer to my favorite question: what is money? Money is an attention allocation technology. That's it. And we all understand this. It's impossible to get any work done, again, unless you pay attention. And this could be any kind of work. I think in this sense, we could almost call human attention the ultimate natural resource, and that it is the key ingredient to everything we do. There's nothing that happens without human attention. And as we've seen, supply or satisfaction can only be created with attention. And if you don't believe me, just try to do anything simple, like get out of bed in the morning or take a shower without paying attention. I guarantee you're going to hurt yourself. It's not possible. And so there is one trick, though, that we use to deviate our attention or divvy up our attention a little bit better, and those are tools or technologies. A tool is an attention-saving device. And you could say that differently and say a tool amplifies the returns on our allocations of attention. So assuming a tool is well constructed, or a technology just being a systematic implementation of tools, assuming that it's constructed well, it allows us to accomplish greater results with less attention, less effort, less energy. Right? You can dig a hole with a shovel a lot faster than you can with your hands, is the classic example I like to give. So money as a tool is one that allows us to accomplish more trade with one another with the same allocation of attention. Again, we don't need to work through all these exchange ratios. We denominate the price in money. It's very simple, very clear how much we should produce as a producer or consume as a consumer. And when we save attention through the use of tools like money, we then get that allocation of attention back, right? We don't need to allocate as much attention to the solution or satisfaction of the problem. So we get attention back that we can then allocate toward the satisfaction or supply of other desires or demands. And this is the point of the market. To get more productive, we want to expand productivity such that attention is allocated onto smaller and smaller phases of the production process. This is a restatement of the division of labor that I said earlier. The more attention we allocate onto a smaller phase of the production process, we get greater specialization, we get more innovation, and therefore we get more wealth creation. So the more finely we divvy up our attention and allocate it intelligently into the marketplace, the wealthier we become, the smaller our problems become, the higher our standard of living becomes. So again, the economy, seen this way, is just a system for allocating producers' attention toward the satisfactions desired by consumers, and money is its most vital communication or allocation technology. Tells us where to place our attention. So if money as a technology commands so much attention, we might ask ourselves, what is the arbitrary inflation of a currency supply or a money supply? What is this? What is that doing? What does that mean for attention? Well, as it turns out, there is one time you don't want attention, and that's when you're doing something other people probably don't like. There's a lot of things we can do that people don't like, but if we just look at very simple biblical ethics, lying, cheating, stealing, if you're doing any of those things, you probably don't want any attention. That's why liars, cheaters, and thieves all seek to avoid attention. Surprise, surprise. When we inflate a money supply, we're actually stealing the attention that money commands. Whoever can inflate the money supply is stealing it from those who cannot. And I should remind you again, attention is always constituted, as we said earlier, of time and energy. So it's a theft of attention, time, and energy. But it's crafted in a way, because it's theft, to avoid attention. That's what inflation is. It's designed to steal your attention, time, and energy in a way that doesn't draw any attention. You can think about that one for about 20 years, probably. When prices go up, central banks will blame supply chains, they'll blame greedy capitalists, and everyone else except themselves. And this plausible deniability, quote unquote, only works because people don't understand money. Right? They can get away with this lie because people don't understand what arbitrary fiat currency supply inflation is actually doing to the world. So I could say this another way, and I've said it like this a lot. You've probably heard me say this, but inflation is just a violation of property, which is quite ironic considering government, the purpose of government's existence is to preserve your property rights, to give you a high integrity relationship between yourself and the things that you have justly acquired or created in the world. That is the express purpose of government. But to protect this relationship, so to say it like this, property, again, as the relationship between people and their stuff, the government exists as the security apparatus to protect that relationship, to make sure people's stuff is not stolen, to resolve disputes over scarce resources via the rule of law, which, as Svetsky said, grounds out in property completely. To protect our relationship with our fruits of labor, or the fruits of our attention. Again, you're not going to get anything done without paying attention. So in this, if we just kind of look at a hypothetical world, assume we live in this world where everyone is invulnerable, we're bulletproof, immortal, whatever, and for whatever reason, we can't steal each other's stuff. In that world, the relevance, we could say in that world, property is inviolable. You can't steal people's stuff. So the relevance of government as being this security apparatus goes to zero. I don't need to protect my things from theft in a world where they cannot be stolen. Right? Now this is hypothetical, obviously. So equally, we could say that the attention allocated to government affairs, the amount of human effort going into the government apparatus is correlated to how violable property is. The more expensive it is to violate property, then, the less attention will be allocated towards this violation, because you can't steal, right? If you can't steal from people, you're not going to waste time paying attention to stealing from people, because it doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't reward you. It doesn't give you any wealth. And when we have less attention allocated towards violating property, this leads to demand for government services going to zero, right? Now again, this is hypothetical. This also means a commensurate boom in peace, cooperation, and wealth. And the way that I often say this is that the more expensive or difficult it is to engage in taking as a wealth acquisition strategy, then the more people move towards making as a wealth acquisition strategy. So the whole name of this game is to make property very hard and very expensive to violate. That's what we've been trying to do as a species ever since we started trading. And as a great man once said, the government which governs best governs least. So in this very critical type of property we call money, the most important form of property in the world, this is another way to look at Bitcoin and the importance of Bitcoin. Bitcoin, very simply, is the government that governs least. It just gives you strong property in your money, and that's it.